All right, welcome back into another episode of The Pit, Gray Media's Georgia regional show, talking everything from college, high school, pro, all about the Peach State here in Georgia. I'm Drew Pavon here at WTV. I'm joined by Mackenzie Blaze down at WALB in Albany, Georgia. Blaze, welcome to the show. We'll start it off. A lot to go through this weekend, and we got to start with the University of Georgia making a change with the women's basketball program. Coach Abe, 4 years in, and she's already out of the program in less than 24 hours later. Ayla Gazzardo is in as the head coach. Do you think this was a predetermined thing? They said it was a mutual parting of ways with Coach Abe, but to have a coaching change just like that quick in less than 24 hours, what did you think of the move?
Yeah, Andrew, I think it had to be predetermined. I mean, I think it's a great thing that they had her lined up already. I mean, that speaks volumes of what the program, wanted in a coach and what they got from her. So I think this is going to be a great pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Ayla Gazzardo, you see the numbers right there. She had one season at McNeese down in Lake Charles, Louisiana, 29-6. She won the regular season conference title, however, did not make the big dance, but has got a pretty solid career record. She had one NCAA tournament appearance. I believe that was back when she was the head coach of Southeastern Louisiana, played her college career over at Akron. Also, she played a little JUCO ball down at Shelton State in Tuscaloosa. Shout out the Bucks. I used to cover that program. So I really like this hire for this team. Coach Abe, departure, though, felt a little weird with the timing. They did have 3 of their top 4 scorers enter the transfer portal last week, and Abe just took them to an NCAA tournament appearance. Obviously, they got the bounce pretty quick and not the outcome you would have wanted. But building off this, I think this is the right move. It's a rising coach from a mid-major program. I think they just wanted someone new, a fresh face to kind of set the establishment and the new landscape for what this program can be, especially in the modern day of NIL and the way this SEC women's basketball runs. And we saw it with South Carolina being in the championship game on Sunday, that you got to get a coach who's young, hungry, and ready to compete. I think this was the right move. Blaze, you think it was weird, the early departure with Abe?
I mean, anything can happen. Like you said, in this area of this era of basketball, I mean, the transfer portal, everything's crazy. You never know what a coach is looking for or what a program is looking for. But I do like this hire from McNeese. I mean, it's important to note when she took the program over in 2025, in 2024, they had only had 10 wins. She turned it around, gets 29 wins. That's the single season record for a turnaround program. And I think that speaks volumes for her. You did mention that 6 of the 8 top scorers are gone. So it's going to be a lot for Coach Ayla to kind of keep the remaining girls she has. But clearly she's built for this. She's able to turn a team around that didn't have a lot going for them. And Georgia obviously does have a lot going for them. So I think they're going to be in good hands.
Absolutely. Coach Gazzardo will be introduced tomorrow in Athens as the new head coach of the program. I got a couple friends that work in Lake Charles, covered the program, and they just said the immediate impact, like you mentioned, from having that differential in wins. They said her impact was immediate. Just practice was high intensity, and she knows what it takes to win. And now she gets to do it at a Power 4 school in the SEC. And like I was talking about before, that schedule is not easy because you got to play LSU, you got to play South Carolina, and so many other talented teams that have the depth and talent, but it's all about the portal now. What can you do? Because we've seen coaches in not just women's basketball and men's basketball, football, the baseball, like because of the portal, you can bring in enough people and make that turnaround just quick like that. And I think Gazzardo has the ability to do so because she's already done it at McNeese.
Well, and also what the portal opens officially tomorrow, doesn't close until the 21st. I mean, there's a chance that some of these girls like Danny Carnegie, they may meet coach and be like, you know what, I'm going to give her a shot. I want to stay. And so that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for we at least get some of the returners back. And I think if we do, we'll be in great hands. Yeah,
absolutely. I feel like that's the biggest question new coaches when they step into a program with a decent amount of talent, especially one that went to the big dance just a couple weeks ago, is retention. Is how do you keep those recruits locked in, but also the talent that you have with the 13, 15 girls on that roster to keep them in Athens and keep this flow going, because this is just the natural state. Obviously, we cover Auburn here in Columbus, Georgia as well. So having to see that with Coach Vickers coming in is, they lost a lot of girls to the portal, but they brought in a ton of girls to the portal, and they didn't have the immediate success like they expected to have in SEC play. They got some huge wins like over Vanderbilt and Alabama, but they started 13-0 against a not very good power major schedule, and kind of tailed off once you get to that differential, because you look at the difference between like the tier 1 SEC teams to the tier 2. I think it's a major drop off, and you see it with like schools at Alabama who were kicking around the top 25 this past year for a long time, and they just let their coach go because they could not get over that hump of getting to that tier 1 status with the Mulkeys and the Dawn Staleys of the world. So going to be interesting to see. And while we're talking about portal, we might as well talk about Mike White and the men's basketball team up there in Athens. They've already had four guys enter the portal so far. Jeremiah Wilkinson is the big one, the Georgia native who transferred in last year, was the team's leading scorer with 17 points. Third time entering the portal for this kid. Blaze, did that surprise you when Wilkinson announced he was heading to the portal?
Well, like I said, I mean, third time in the transfer portal, that's ridiculous, but that's just what it is now. But I after that first round loss to St. Louis, I mean, that was abysmal. And I think it probably got to a lot of guys. And he's such a good isolation player, 41% from field goal, 36 from three. We're definitely going to miss him, but if he wants to go, I guess that's not going to be great for team chemistry. You don't want someone that doesn't want to be there on your team, but it did surprise me just a little bit. And also the other guy, Cyril.
Yeah.
I just read that Arkansas is looking at him, and Coach Calipari, he wants him. He's probably going to get him. So
absolutely,
we might be seeing him in SEC play again this year.
I think those are two guys that will kind of stick around in the SEC. It's no shot at Georgia, but the success of the program just can't match up to what Arkansas, Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, like these other SEC programs that are making the dance, have the NIL backing, and are making deep enough runs, and they're bringing in solid talent from the portal. Like Kentucky's already had a couple guys enter as of Monday. Alabama as well. Sorrell has been a name that has been circled with Arkansas and Alabama. Be surprising. Just he's been an impact like the past 2 years for this program. And Mike White, I mean, he's been a starter who plays like 33 minutes a game. The concerning stat with him is only 5 boards a game at 6'11", 7 foot. Like, you got to be crashing the boards a little bit more. I know it's a modern day of college basketball, but if you're going to be that big man anchor in the middle, and it's no trash at him. He's been great for Georgia, but 5 rebounds a game, like you just get outsized. And this was a very physical Georgia team this year. I mean, they were one of the top 3 teams in the country in dunks per game. Like, they charged the lane pretty hard. So for Sorrell to only have 5 boards on the year felt a little concerning. But I mean, you lose 2 of your higher production starters, and Wilkinson not starting the entire year. I know he had been dealing with some injuries and stuff, but you lose your leading scorer, you lose your leading big man, who I thought was going to stick around in Athens for another year. But this is just the natural way of the portal. But Mike White's going to have to attack that portal again, which I thought he did really well last year to follow up what they had. Now he's just got to go out and do it again.
I was just going to say, Andrew, he needs to go in that portal. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to get some early names, because you do have to worry about some of the high school guys that haven't signed yet. Are they potentially, 2 of the top guys are leaving. Maybe I don't want to go there. So he needs to get into the portal, make a couple big names known, so that those guys that are looking to come here have a reason to want to stay coming to Georgia.
Absolutely. So already 4 guys have entered the portal for UGA. Sorrell, Wilkinson, the 2 big ones. Dylan James is another one, only had 2 starts in the year. He averaged 5 points per game. And Jackson McPhee, who did not step on the court this year, are also entering the portal. And I'm sure there will be more to come as this week goes on and the portal officially opens for the Georgia Bulldogs. And we'll see, especially with that Scott Cross hire over at Georgia Tech, expecting him to hit the portal pretty hard. Maybe a couple of those Troy players are headed north to the ATL. But before we wrap up this block, some breaking news that happened Monday morning. Off the cuff here, we're going with it. Angel Reese headed to the A for the Dream. Blaze, what'd you think of the trade?
I was hoping you were going to bring that up. I'm really excited. I think not only obviously are we getting a great player on the dream, but we're getting a celebrity, a personality. She's going to bring so much in terms of marketing to the team that you know what I mean? Like her social media presence, everything. Obviously, she's a great player, but she's bringing so much more than that. And I know she had a little issues with Chicago Sky last year. So I think seeing her with a team where she knows she's wanted and she likes the girls and everything, I think it's going to be a great ad.
They're going to have to move a couple more of those games over to State Farm, I'll tell you that, because she puts butts in the seats. And now if they're able to retain Griner, can you just imagine that backcourt, like that back front court with Griner and Angel Reese? Like, you're going to clear off the boards. I think there's plenty of talent. People are excited, as they should be. 2 first-round picks. I feel like, she had her issues with Chicago Sky, made it very vocal towards the end of last year that she didn't like where the franchise was headed with her as the front of it, and obviously she wanted to get out. So this is a great spot for her to walk in now. Do you think 2 picks was enough? Do you feel like that was kind of a steal for Atlanta?
Honestly, yeah, I do. Like, again, she's putting butts in seats, like you said. She's going to be, obviously, Brittany Griner, if we can keep her, that's great. But Angel's going to be the face of this franchise. And I think the sky's the limit with her. No pun intended. Now that she's leaving the sky, wherever, now that she's at a place where she wants to be, I'm excited to see her just flourish here. And I think this is the city for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Sky was the limit, but now everything's headed to the clouds for the dream. Angel Reese, now part of the Atlanta Dream in the W. All right, that's enough hoops talk. We got baseball coming up. Atlanta Braves off to a hot start, 6-4, 2 weeks into the season. That's all coming up next on The Pit. All right, welcome back into another episode of The Pit. I'm Drew Pavant here at WTVM in Columbus, Georgia, joined by WALB's Mackenzie Blaze down in Albany, Georgia. We just got wrapped up talking about Georgia new hire with Alea Gazzardo, and of course, men's basketball transfer portal opening up, losing some guys. And of course, the big trade that happened today in the Atlanta Dream acquiring Angel Reese. But we got to be talking chop now. Atlanta Braves starting the year 6-4. They ended up splitting the series with Arizona over the weekend on the 2 games. They got walked off last night, and then Saturday was that was a really weird game. Blaze, what have you thought of the Braves' start to the year so far?
I mean, it's way better than it was last year. The bar was pretty low to start this season. I think last time this season we were 0-7, 0-9. Yeah. Now, so 6-4 is great. Obviously, I would have liked to take the series from Arizona yesterday, but it's baseball, stuff happens, but I really like where this team's at, especially the bullpen. We got to talk about the bullpen. We got to talk about the pitching. It was kind of a question at the beginning of the year, without a bunch of these guys, what is the bullpen going to look like? And so far, I'm happy with it. They've delivered.
Yeah, before opening day on the episode of The Pit, we just kept talking about, they got 5 guys on the IL who could be all starters, and they have the best injury pitching rotation in the league. And so far, expectations have been exceeded for what this rotation's been through. Bryce Elder, 2 quality starts, 13 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. Saturday's game, which marked down for a loss for him, and he walked out with 0 earned runs, was because of that throwing error on the bunt, which scored the only 2 runs Arizona had, and the Braves just couldn't answer at any point, and they lost 2-1. And then yesterday's game, that just got weird. Every time the Braves answered the call, Diamondbacks answered right back and walked it off Ketel Marte in the 10th. But you mentioned the rotation. Chris Sale's been great. He's dealing with a little bit of a stomach bug right now, but he's only allowed 1 earned run like your ace should be, 9 strikeouts. But Bryce Elder, I think, has been the surprise. He had a good stretch to end the year last year, and he's continuing to follow that up, and I feel like they definitely needed it. Lopez has been great. Holmes has been better. Lopez has been more of the surprise, I guess, for me. He's been kicking around that 2 or 3rd spot with Holmes and Elder, but they're figuring it out right now, and the Braves are winning. A tough stretch ahead with the Guardians at the end of the weekend. That's kind of like a wild card game if both teams were in the same league. They'll start tonight against the LA Angels out in Los Angeles and try to wrap up this West Coast trip. You see it first pitch tonight 9:38 p.m. Eastern. Nobody likes those West Coast starts. I know I definitely don't, because those games end at like 11:40. Braves on Gray game will be on Tuesday, of course, on that 9:38 p.m. Eastern start. Get the 4 p.m. start on Wednesday, the travel day Thursday, and then back in the A for the big series versus the Guardians. All primetime games, which you love to see. Atlanta's been on those primetime games for this weekend to start the season, and you love to see it. Blaze, how big is this weekend set? You need to get that weekend series win against the Angels, but then, of course, returning home for Saturday against a really quality Cleveland team.
Yeah, Cleveland has yet to lose a series. They just beat the Mariners, the Dodgers. I mean, they're looking really good. Shout out Parker Messick. He's a local guy. He's from Florida. He went to Florida State. I got to cover him a few times, and his stuff in college was incredible. And what he's doing now is just different. I think he's 24 years old. I mean, he's just shoving to start the year. And tonight we also have to talk about Sale versus Soriano. It's going to be a pitching duel, I think.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Soriano hasn't allowed an earned run yet.
Yeah, Soriano's got great stuff. Sale nursing that illness right now. They don't think it's going to be too much of a concern. I think he threw a bullpen over the weekend, if I saw that correctly. So hopefully he can really jump back on it. But rotation's been great. But I got to talk about this lineup. I mean, Drake Baldwin has been phenomenal. The kid, rookie of the year. How do you not love the Drake? I love the Drake. He's been shining. I think he's got 4 homers right now, 12 RBIs. He was huge on Sunday's game. Every spot where the Braves needed a run, the Drake stepped in, tied it in the 9th, homer in the 1st. He's been great in that DH spot right behind Ronnie at 1. And, Ronald's going to come into his own, and that 1-2 punch is going to be phenomenal. What have you thought of Drake Baldwin so far, kicking into year 2 for his sophomore campaign?
I think so far this week, I've said the phrase Drake rakes maybe 70 times. I think that leaves my mouth every show because he just keeps doing it. Like you said, the whole series against Arizona, it seemed like every time the Braves got behind, it was Drake up to bat. Drake ties it. Drake takes lead, whatever. I mean, he's incredible. He's batting 300 right now. There's not much you can ask more from him. And obviously when he's not behind the plate, you got to keep his bat in there at DH. So he's going to be playing a lot of games this year.
All right. Before we wrap it up of this block, Drake Baldwin's been shining. Austin Riley, on the other hand, has been a completely different story. 2 for 25 in his last 25 ABs. He's slumping right now. I know it's early on, and you can say the same thing for hot streaks and cold streaks to start the year. Like, this happens to a lot of guys. In that first month of April, early March, like, it's just coming out of that spring. You just feeling a little bit cold. You find your swing early on. Do Braves fans have to be worried about Austin Riley to start the year, Blaze?
I don't think so. I mean, you said basically what I was thinking. It's a game of, slumps, and he could come off and go off any second. But when you're paying a guy $200 million, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of room for disappointment, especially in the front office. You're like, he just signed this huge contract, and he's given us nothing. I think it's a matter of time before he turns around, I hope, but, we'll see.
Yeah, no, you're right. We're 10 games into the year. There's a lot to still be talked about. The jury's out on Austin Riley if he could turn around. Everybody, it's a cliche in basketball. It's a cliche in baseball. It's all about the game of runs. All right, Braves started off with the Angels tonight at 9:38 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to tune in tomorrow to your local Gray affiliate to catch the second game of the 3-game set. All right, coming up, Masters Week is here, baby. And then NCAA Men's Basketball Championship is tonight. And the Women's Basketball Championship, we got to recap UCLA stomping USC, all coming up next on The Pit. All right, welcome back into The Pit. We just got done talking about the Atlanta Braves, 6-4 to start the year, but in the state of Georgia, I'm going to start singing it. Georgia, Georgia. All right, Masters Week is here. Blaze, this is like the best week. You get to watch golf like 7 days in a row. I love it. It's so much juice. Moving to Georgia has added something different to it because we know every part of this state, especially for all our Gray affiliates, like you have so many people driving up to Augusta for this week because you get a parking pass and you hear the stories of people like, I've been waiting on this wait list for 40 years. And you get the people that have been like, oh, I joined this year and I got a ticket. what have you picked up on the Masters, and what's it meant to this state?
I mean, I've been a golf fan, since I can remember. We're from a golf family. I love it. The Masters is something you love the tradition, the history, just the unforgettable moments. It seems like every year there's an incredible storyline. So I'm excited to see what this one brings. But Magnolia Lane is special, Augusta National is special, and they denied my credential this year. But, maybe next year I'll get to go. We'll see. But it's just a really nice time, I think, especially to be now in the state of Georgia enjoying the Masters. It brings a whole new aspect to it.
Absolutely. Maybe one day I'll get to go to the Augusta National. I'm still hoping. But we'll take a look at the top 10 favorites to win the Masters. We can't talk about all 90-some participants, but we'll give you the top 10 favorites, odds and favorites according to FanDuel. Of course, Scotty Scheffler, the odds-on favorite, the world's number one, looking to bring another Masters champion home. He's going to be my pick. Don't sleep on Bryson DeChambeau. He's been a big fan favorite in recent years. I kind of like Aberg this week. I don't know what it is. His name's just been speaking to me. Blaze, who do you like going in?
So I was going to say the same thing. Ludwig Oberg, he's been incredible. I feel like he's been top 5 in the last few events. I feel like I'm always saying his name on Sundays. But Scotty Scheffler, he just welcomed in a baby boy, and I think if there's a time to win the Masters, it's right now. I think the last time he won, his little girl was born. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or other little boy. Yeah. So I think it's like the cards are aligned for him. He's gotten off to some pretty tough starts in the first few events of the season, but then he comes back every time. It seems like Saturday and Sunday, he's still rolling. So we're not going to count him out. I think the world number one is going to deliver on this. He's going to be my pick as well.
It's crazy with Scotty because he'll stay just above the cut line going into Friday, and then Saturday or Sunday flips a switch and he shoots 15 under, some ridiculous, Scotty Scheffler shot up to the top 5 again. Shocking. But you're right. That was crazy when Scotty won a couple years ago. The big drama the entire week was would you leave if your child was born today? Or would you leave tomorrow? And he's like, absolutely. And I don't blame him, but still, that was the biggest topic was would Scotty leave? I'm sure he was sick of that question, but a lot of favorites to look at. These guys always kick around that top 10. Question is who's going to deliver when it matters the most on Sunday. Of course, Masters, always fun. Make sure to watch your Gray affiliate all week long for local coverage. I know our station WRDW, Joe and Alyssa Lyons are up there. This is the Super Bowl of a week, and they've had them covered up there. So make sure you watch your Gray affiliate for all your inside track on local natives and hopefully a couple fans from your area that are going to be up there. All right, switching now. Hoops almost wrapping up. Men's basketball championship game tonight. Final Four was on Saturday, but now there are only 2 remaining. UConn versus Michigan. Blaze, who you got?
Okay, so if you would have asked me this yesterday, I would have said, I think Michigan is going to do it. I mean, they've blown out every team. They're averaging 90 points. However, UConn, they just find a way to win. I think no matter who they play, they're going to find a way to win. Dan Hurley has those guys on lockdown. I mean, they were down by 18 against Duke, and they come back, win in a crazy way. But I think it's going to be UConn. And I know, again, Michigan, they 90 points a game. They're very good. I'm going Huskies.
All right. I like the pick. I'm a huge Danny Hurley guy, but I took Michigan to win it all in my bracket. So I'm rolling with Dusty May and the Wolverines. Give me Axel Lendenborg. I love that kid when he was at UAB. All right. Really quick before we go, Women's Basketball Championship on Sunday. UCLA stomps Dawn Staley and USC. Blaze, what'd you think of the game?
Well, first of all, my former travel teammate is the 6th man on UCLA, Angela Duklik. So got to give a shout out to her. But I think it was just special that they were all seniors on UCLA that were able to score. And I think that shows, if anything, the game, it's changing. And you got all these young people coming in. But when you have a core group of seniors, you can do anything with it. And I think that's the reason they won. They were just more experienced and they just played better together.
Absolutely. And I think that shows in the modern day of college basketball. The more veteran leadership you have in a group that has the chemistry and has been in this tough stretch, it works out. I mean, they dominated USC on the boards, and USC couldn't buy a 3-ball to save their life. So UCLA, first NCAA championship for that program, which is crazy because they dominated back in the 60s and 70s. But of course, that wasn't part of the NCAA. All right, that's going to do it. Another episode of The Pit is in the books. Mackenzie Blaze, Drew Pavon, thanks for joining us.